In the next 10 minutes, you'll learn a gentle imagination exercise you can use to redesign one draining part of your school day into something that feels at least 10% better for you and your students without overhauling your whole curriculum. Welcome to the Voice of the Student podcast, where real student stories meet the science of well-being, energy, and learning. I'm Dr. Kelly Spence, a well-being specialist, education advocate, and author of The Voice of the Student, here to help reimagine education so that teachers are better resourced, students are truly seen, and classrooms become places where both can thrive. This space is dedicated to you, the hardworking teacher and educator, offering grounded, science-backed, energetically aware strategies to support your well-being so your classrooms can better meet and exceed the needs of your unique 21st century students. So take a breath, settle in, and let's explore how caring for your nervous system, your intention, and your energy is one of the most powerful ways to transform education from the inside out. Everything in this movement to reimagine education for both teachers and students rests on a simple truth. When we regulate the adult nervous system first, we create the conditions for adolescent brains to feel safe enough to learn, take risks, and engage more fully in the education experience. When your body is grounded and your energy is intentional, you can design a classroom that works with, not against, the teenage brain, so well-being and learning rise together. If you've been living in chronic stress or burnout, imagination can be one of the first things to disappear. Survival mode tells you just get through the day, just keep the train on the tracks. Anything that feels creative or spacious can start to feel like a luxury you don't have time for. But imagination is not fluff. From a brain perspective, imagination is your ability to envision new possibilities, generate options, and see beyond the current pattern you're stuck in. It's what lets you say, what if this routine went differently? Instead of, I guess this is just how it has to be forever or until I quit. When stress is high, your nervous system narrows your focus to what feels urgent and right in front of you. That's useful in a true emergency, but in a classroom, it can keep you repeating draining routines simply because they're familiar. Imagination gently widens the lens again so you can see small, doable experiments that might make your day feel more humane and more enjoyable. So when I talk about imagination in your teaching, I'm not asking you to become an endlessly energetic Pinterest teacher. I'm talking about a meaningful human capacity, your ability to picture a slightly different version of your day, your classroom, or your role, and then explore one small way to move toward it. Imagination for teachers might look like seeing a new way to open class that doesn't leave you hoarse by second period, or rethinking homework so it supports reflection instead of burnout, or reimagining how a tough class could feel if the routine shifted just a little. Imagination is not magical thinking. It's not pretending your context isn't real or bypassing systemic issues. It doesn't say, if I just visualize hard enough, everything will be perfect. Instead, it says, given the real constraints I'm in, what small experiment can move this just 10% closer to being more aligned with me and my students? It's also not about doing more. Imagination often helps you prune, which is to let go of one step, one expectation, or one rule that no longer serves you or your students, and replace it with something simpler, kinder, and often more effective. I want to walk you through a gentle imagination exercise you can use this week. Think of this as a 10% better reset. Not a full reinvention, just a small, realistic shift. You can do this sitting at your desk after school, in your car before you drive home, or with the notebook at your kitchen table. So step 1, you're going to choose one pain point. First, choose one specific part of your school day that consistently drains you. It might be the first 5 minutes of a particular class, transitions between activities, how you handle late work, or the way you end the day and walk out of the building, or the way you begin your day before entering the school. Pick just one. Naming it clearly helps your brain focus its creative energy instead of feeling overwhelmed by trying to fix everything all at once. Next, step 2, notice what's happening in the now moment. You want to next describe what actually happens in that moment. You might jot a few phrases or record a voice note. Students wander in and talk over me, or I'm still answering emails as the bell rings, or homework collection feels chaotic and frustrating. Try to stay descriptive and not judgmental. Then notice how your body feels in that routine. Tight chest, heavy shoulders, dread. This grounds your imagination in reality instead of fantasy. Then step 3, you want to ask the 10% better question. So you want to ask yourself, if this part of my day felt just 10% better for me and my students, what might be different? Remember, not perfect, not magical, just better by a small margin. Let your mind wander a little. Maybe 10% better looks like starting with a 2-minute pause moment. Having a clear posted opening routine students can start without you, or using a simple visual for how to turn in work so you're not repeating directions 6 times a day. Then step 4, imagine one tiny experiment. You want to finally choose one tiny experiment you could try for the next week. For example, for the first 5 minutes, students always do the same warm-up while I greet them at the door. Or before transitions, I ring a bell or a chime and we take one breath and I give a short, clear direction. Or for late work, I use one simple policy and a single basket instead of renegotiating every time. Your experiment should feel doable in your current energy level, not in your ideal fantasy energy level. You're not designing for a future fully rested version of you. You're designing for the you who exists right now. So let's ground this in real school life with a couple of classroom imagination examples. Example 1, reimagining class openings. So say the beginning of your 3rd period class feels chaotic most days. Students drift in, side conversations start immediately, and you find yourself raising your voice before you've even taken attendance. You leave those first 5 minutes already tired. So using the 10% better exercise, you might imagine a different opening. The lights are slightly dimmed if that's possible. There's a simple prompt on the board, and students know that as soon as they walk in, they start a short written reflection or a warm-up. Maybe you greet them at the door with a quick "good to see you" instead of trying to manage everything from the front of the class. The tiny experiment might be, for the next 2 weeks, I'll use the same opening routine every day with this class. A posted prompt, 2-minute quiet start, and a quick check-in for 1 or 2 students at the door. You're not changing the entire curriculum, you're using imagination to design a different entry into it. Example number 2, reimagining homework or a draining classroom task. So maybe homework grading feels like it's swallowing your evenings. You're spending hours on repetitive tasks that don't seem to change how students learn. When you imagine 10% better, you might see homework that's shorter, more reflective, or more creative, and a grading system that doesn't require you to comment on every line. Your experiment might be, okay, once a week, homework is a brief reflection or real-world connection instead of more problems. Or for certain assignments, I'll grade with a simple complete, partial, not yet system, and use class time to talk through common patterns instead of reading individual assigned essays at 10 p.m. In both examples, imagination isn't about adding sparkle. It's about aligning your routines with the kind of teacher you actually want to be and the kind of classroom your nervous system and your students' brains can sustainably inhabit. By now, you might be noticing how these 3 capacities support each other. Intuition helps you sense what feels off and what matters most. Intention helps you choose how you want to show up in the next moment or class. And imagination helps you redesign the structures around you so that they actually support that way of being. In my Teacher Wellbeing Reset mini course, Intuition, Intention, and Imagination for Teachers, we put all 3 together in a simple decision-making and design framework. You learn how to listen to your inner clarity, use intention as your daily anchor, and then apply imagination to rebuild specific parts of your teaching life in more aligned, sustainable ways. And if this mini-series has you thinking, I want a way back to myself in my classroom that doesn't require me to martyr my well-being, that deeper dive and self-paced course was created with you in mind. So as you move into the rest of your week, I want to leave you with this reflection question. If you let yourself imagine one small, better way for a tough part of your day to go, what would that new version look like? And what's one tiny experiment you could try this week to move toward it? Feel free to jot it down, record it in a voice note, or talk it through with a trusted colleague or friend. Or if you're comfortable, share your experiment in the comments below so we can learn from each other. Thank you for spending this time with the Voice of the Student. Here, teacher well-being is not an afterthought, it's the foundation. When the adult nervous system is grounded, classrooms become safer, more human spaces where the adolescent brain can finally exhale, engage, and thrive. If this episode on reclaiming imagination sparked ideas for your classroom or your life as an educator, imagine what's possible with a step-by-step roadmap and a community of educators doing this work alongside you. Head over to thevoiceofthestudent.com to learn more about my foundational, self-paced online course, The Engaged Classroom, and my shorter Teacher Wellbeing Reset mini course, Intuition, Intention, and Imagination for Teachers, both designed to help you reconnect with your nervous system, your values, and your voice so you can create a more grounded, engaged classroom. If this episode supported you, please be sure to like, subscribe, and follow The Voice of the Student and share it with one teacher friend. Together we can elevate the teacher-student experience, one nervous system, one class, one student, one teacher, and one school at a time. Your energy, your intention, and your voice matter more than you know. Listen, innovate, educate. Thanks for listening and for all that you do. Until next time on The Voice of the Student.